Okay, hi all, good evening. So there's a small modification in the timing. Like earlier, we have communicated that this weekend batch will be in the morning, I think 9 to 10:30, right? But we will continue this batch in the evening, 9 to 10:30, Saturday and Sunday. Okay, and Pawan will be the trainer. So Pawan will give a demo and we will start the regular class as well today. So Pawan, hope you are in and you're ready.
Sure, Tanvir.
Okay, fine. So I will request the participants to ask questions if you have any, make the session interactive. Okay, fine. So I will make you host, Pawan. Okay,
Sure.
1 minute. So Pawan, I have to jump into another call around 9:10 or 9:15 p.m. So
Sure.
once you are done with the call, you can leave it, or if you want, you can stay there. So my meeting will be over at 10:30. Then I will end this session. Okay. So let me give you host access. Yeah, you are the host now. You can share your screen and you can start. Thank you.
Okay.
And can you check once if the recording is on, someone at your end, because you are the
Uh,
host now.
sure. Yeah, it is on.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Please proceed.
Yeah. Good evening once again, everyone. And my name is Pawan, and I'll be the trainer for Power BI for you all people. And as far as this course is concerned, this course is divided into various topics as you're seeing in the screen right now. Let me just confirm with you all that this screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
okay.
Yeah. So we will start with the introduction to the Power BI, and where we'll deal with the basic building blocks and components of Power BI, and what's the overview of the graphical user interface of Power BI. And then we'll start with getting the data from various sources into Power BI, transforming the data as per our need, which is covered in this particular section of the course, where we will be discussing about one of the important ETL part in the Power BI, which is called as Power Query Editor, or it's also called as Transform Query section. Okay. And here we'll be dealing with the different storage modes of the data and how we can clean the data and use numerous functions for cleaning, like clean, trim, removing unwanted columns, rows, and establishing the data types, replacing the values, pivoting, unpivoting, merging, appending, and all this stuff which is related to cleaning and transforming the data according to our need. And once we're done with this particular section, we'll be dealing with the data modeling in Power BI, wherein we first will be discussing about the basic data warehouse concepts, which are necessary for you to understand the data model that you will be developing in the Power BI, and what are the different types of schemas, what are the different cardinalities and the relationships, the cross filter directions, and how the cross filter directions will be affecting your data model, all these things. And after that, we'll be dealing with the data visualization part, because that's the main thing that we do in the Power BI, which is creating the reports and dashboards. And reports and dashboards, the main thing about them is they have these things called as visuals. And we will be studying different types of visuals, how they can be built in Power BI, and which visual can be used in which particular scenario. That's the one very important thing that is to be known. And within that, we'll be also dealing with some important components of the visual aspects like bookmarks, drill downs, drill throughs, tooltips, buttons, etc. And yes, the next section will be the data analysis expressions, where we will be studying how to uh, create the formulae, basically the calculated columns, or we can also call them as measures. So let's say if you have got a measure like sales transactions in your data, so how you can calculate the things like the revenue, what is the revenue, the profit margin, and things like the YTD sales throughout the year, MTD sales, all these things we'll be studying in the DAX, that is data analysis expressions, which basically consists of all these functions that we need to uh, work on to achieve the required calculated columns and measures. Okay. And once we are done with this, we will be dealing with the Power BI service component, that is how to publish our work into the cloud service in the Power BI, which is called as Power BI service. And here we will be discussing about the different types of licenses that are available. That is the free license versus pro license versus premium per user and premium license. And here we'll be studying about how to create our specific workspaces, reports, the dashboards, apps, scheduling the refreshes, and how the data flows work, and all these things. And once we are done with this, we also will be uh, discussing about the conceptual interview questions, scenario-based interview questions, and parallelly as the course goes on, we also will be developing one Power BI project end to end, which we will be publishing in Power BI service. So this is the basic content that we will be covering throughout this course. Now, anyone has any doubt with respect to this?
Yes, I have a question here.
Yeah.
And I am totally from non technical background. So,
Mhm.
will you cover the Power BI course from scratch?
Yes. But
Okay.
let me tell you one important thing. Now, if you are from the non-technical background, it will be important for you to understand some of the basic things like the basic mathematical statistics, okay, and also some of the basic data warehouse concepts, okay. So this is important for you to understand how to use the business intelligence for your specific work. So these are very important, even though they say that none of the knowledge is required. But yeah, these are some basic concepts which you can go through. And yeah, so that's what is the basic, we can say, the preliminary requirement. Basic statistics like what is mean, what is standard deviation, what are the outliers. So those things, if you have knowledge of, then that will be very helpful for you to learn this bigger field called data analysis. Hope am I clear?
Perfect. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Pawan.
Yes, hi.
Would you like to tell me like in this uh, course syllabus, will you cover parameters,
Yes,
deployment pipelines,
parameters I will be
uh,
covering. Yes.
and deployment pipeline?
Deployment pipelines, I'm not sure of that, but we can have a discussion on that. Yeah.
Okay, and also what about the like you have mentioned the storage modes. So will you
Yes.
covering the composite models and hybrid models
See,
pertaining to that?
yeah, I'll be telling you what is the composite model and how composite model basically works. Yeah, sure. The difference between the normal model and the hybrid model. Yes.
And what about the advanced DEX functions?
What
Like
about
you
the
have mentioned
advanced?
DEX functions. Like what
Yes,
about like will you cover the rank X, uh, like
definitely
top end?
rank X, top N, all these things I will be covering. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though
I
it's
I have
not in this, yes, I'll be covering the
I
rank
have
X
one
for sure. Yes,
I have one question.
please.
Uh, I am also from non-technical background, so
Okay.
would this course help me to if I want to switch my career to
Definitely, it will
this?
help you. It will help you to
Okay,
understand how the business intelligence actually works, and getting accustomed to this very powerful tool called as Power BI, through which you can get into the job profiles like a data analyst or Power BI developer, business intelligence engineer, or there are some other profiles like data visualization expert. Hope I'm clear.
okay. And
Okay.
do you provide certification also after completing this course?
See, a certification in the sense, certification that is helpful for you to as far as the job is concerned, I think there's a certification from the Microsoft itself, which is called as PL300. And it goes like Microsoft Certified Data Analysis Associate
Sorry to
Power BI.
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. So yes, from our institute as well, we will give you the certificate once the course is over. But for the certificates, you have to pay separate 100 rupees we charge, because we have a separate team dedicated for that, because our certificates are the manual one. Manual in the sense, we will give a signature there, and a digital a stamp will be there, so that no one should copy it. So that is why we charge 100 rupees for that. But yes, once the course is over, we will share the certificate as well. Thank you. Yeah, Pawan,
Okay,
please go ahead.
sure. Thank you.
Also, Pawan, just last question from my end.
Yeah.
Would you cover the how to tackle with large data and also the optimization part? Will you cover that?
See, I'll be covering in the sense how to handle the large data, in the sense what is the magnitude of the data you're talking about. Can I know?
Yeah, like I'm asking, if there are millions of records and the data file is too huge to handle, and because of that it hangs sometimes, and also like in which particular mode, how much data we can fetch into the Power BI, that kind of question. And if the DEX query is not working, like how can we optimize the DEX query in that sense?
While covering the DAX part, I'll be telling you what queries or what basic DAX functions that you should not use if you are handling the large data set. Okay, because the things like iteration functions, which go on iterating or working on every row one by one. So those things should not be used while doing the handling the large data sets. So I'll be telling you about the one particular tool within Power BI. It is called as Performance Analyzer. I'll be telling you how to use that to improve your performance of the Power BI data set that you create. Yeah.
So basically, like, is there any technique or a way to handle the large data in the form of chunks, or we can only deploy like for the last 6 months of data or 1 year of data, so that it works fine, or the Power BI loads faster than it's supposed to?
There is a technique to bring only 1 year of data as well. Okay, we can parameterize the data. Okay. And as far as handling large data is concerned, you have to make sure that the DAX functions and the data model that you are using is, it's not complex. So that's the thing.
Okay, so in the Power BI service, you will cover the Power Apps too, right?
Power Apps is not a part of this course.
Okay, that is not the part of it.
Yes, Power Apps and Power Automate is altogether a different course. It is not related to Power BI. I mean, it is an integration of Power BI which is not dealt with in this course. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks for answering that.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Myself, Reshma.
Yes.
I would like to know more about, in current.
Can you give me a minute, please? I'll be back within some 10-20 seconds, please. Thanks. Okay. I'm back.
Yes, sir, I would like myself, Reshma. As I'm I was worked with as a data analyst before that.
Yes.
But for Power BI, this is my new thing. So I'm started to learning this one. Like to know that in the market current situation, companies are hiring Power BI so many this one employees. So what kind of experience they are they are searching for their company, for fresher they will give the chance, or 2 to 3 years or 4 to 5 years kind of experience they are looking for.
Yeah, I'll exactly explain the current scenario in the market. Currently, they most probably are looking for the Power BI developer who has at least 2 or 2+ years of experience. But yes, you can also join as a fresher if you want. And even for freshers, the Power BI market is better compared to other BI tools. Yes.
Okay. So as per we have as a fresher we can able to join, no openings will be there, right?
But you have the experience of other, data analysis, right?
Yes, I do have 1.5 years of experience in data analysis.
Okay.
So because Power BI is nowadays it's move in the market, it's very powerful kind of things for data analyst. We should go for that. Power BI, we are, most of the advanced course, I can say that.
Let me tell you why. The thing is, in most of the companies, even the data migration is happening from other BI tools to Power BI. So there is more need for the Power BI developers or Power BI data analysts in the current market. That is for sure. Yes.
Yes. So that's what, if we don't have any experience in Power BI, we have the openings that I just want to confirm. Power BI.
You want to confirm what exactly you want to confirm? Can you be more clear on that?
So because as I was attended a recently interview, they are asking me for Power BI. Do you have experience in Power BI? Have you handled any time Power BI like that? They're asked. So
okay.
I was handling something different, not the Power BI. I was not aware of what is all about Power BI. So that's what, as a fresher, because in Power BI, I am the fresher. I have experience with the other thing.
Yes.
So I just want
Let me tell you this. Once you're done with this course, and if you practice whatever I tell you in the class, and if you do this, if you practice this regularly, then I'm sure that after the end of this course, you will be having the experience that is required for, I think, more than 1 year.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hi, I have one question.
Sure.
Actually, I have experience in a Power BI, but I want to learn about the optimization techniques to improve the dashboard speed and enhancing the UI experience to the user. So in this course, this type of things has to be delivered.
In this course, that optimization technique is basically, it comes under DAX part of this, okay? And usage of some external tools like DAX Studio, and also the tabular editor will be helpful in that particular scenario. But let me tell you, this course is not specifically for that. This course is for the total understanding and hands-on experience of Power BI. Okay, this is not
suppose I have a 10 GB of data and I have a 50 or 60 views in a SQL to use in the Power BI data source. So this type of things has to be explained in this course. Like if we have a huge amount of data, like this type of topics, so how can we optimize the data connectivity or this?
See, as far as the connectivity is concerned, you might be aware of the direct query thing, but the present scenario in the industry is that they usually don't prefer the direct query mode in Power BI. That's due to the fact that it makes DAX usage limited. Okay. So basically what they do is they generally tend to do the development on the sample database that is for only, let's say, 6 months to 1 year of data. And after the development is done, they try to bring in the whole data. But the problem with this particular approach is that when you bring the whole data, the DAX that you do, which was working perfectly fine for your limited data, it suddenly becomes slow if you have used some of the iterator functions like distinct count, sumx, and similar functions which bring more load onto your data model. And also, if in your data model, let's say there are more bidirectional filters, more many-to-many relationships, and more snowflakes, then that will make your data model slow as well. So yes, I will be telling you how not to make your data model complex, and hope that will be helpful. But the thing is, specific scenario that you deal in your company, I think that for solving that particular thing, you have to do the research on your own as well. Okay, so that I want to make clear. But yes,
Okay,
to make
thank you.
data, you have to make your data set more optimized. The techniques that we use, that I will be definitely discussing. Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you so much.
Any further doubts? Okay. Fine then. We'll move on with the class, and we'll start with the basic introduction to the Power BI. Okay. So before that, we have to know what is meant by the business intelligence in a broader sense. So business intelligence is a technique which we use to convert this thing which you are seeing on the left-hand side to the things which you are seeing on the right-hand side. Now, this table which you are seeing on the left-hand side, it consists of various rows and columns, basically records and the columns, which will not make much sense to you if you just have a bare look at it. Because what you might find out is just the column names and what kind of data it consists, but you will not be able to figure out any insights from this particular data. In the sense, you will not be able to figure out what it is trying to tell, or what inference that you can make out of this. But if you use a technique to convert this type of data into this kind of visuals, now these visuals will be making more sense to you in the sense you will be making the business decisions easier for the business end by figuring out these kind of insights. Like, let's say, what was the YTD sales for this year? That is year-to-date sales for this year. And is it greater or lesser than the previous year? For example, if you see in this particular visual, there is a YTD sales, which is $11.53 million. And beside that, there's a small sign here, which is red and going downwards icon, which means that it has gone down compared to earlier. Okay. And if you look into this particular visual, it has top 5 products with YTD sales and top 5 sales by states. Okay. So these kind of visuals will help the business and to make the decisions easier. And this is what we call in broader sense as a business intelligence. Okay. So this is what the business intelligence is. Now let's try to have a look at the high-end view of the business intelligence architecture. Okay. So basically what happens here is that you start with collecting the data from various sources, and those sources might be coming from different places. Like there might be some relational database management systems. Sometimes it might be just the raw CSV, Excel, or Access database, or some flat files, other data, or maybe even SAP related data. Okay, and that what they do in BI is that they do ETL on that data, and this particular stage in here, we call it as staging environment, where the data from all the sources is collected and we do ETL on that. That is extract, transform, and load. Okay, ETL is extract, transform, and load. Generally, ETL in industries is done via the tools which are specific to ETL, like Informatica, like Azure, okay, and those things. Although ETL can also be done by Power BI, but generally ETL is done in industries with the tools which are specific to ETL. Okay. And once the ETL is done, this whole data is brought into a system. This system is it is basically some of the collection of techniques, which we call it as data warehouse. And to implement a particular data warehouse, again we use some of the integration of the softwares like Azure in some cases, Synapse Lake in some cases, Azure Data Factory, or even the simple SQL Server as well. And this data warehouse, it basically brings uniformity in the different data sets or all the data. It is basically clean data, and it has a sense of uniformity in it, and it is away from inconsistencies. And within this data warehouse, we will be having the data with respect to the project that we are working on. And let's say if the project is based on some of the financial aspects, so out of this data warehouse, we can create subset of this data warehouse, which we can call it as data marts. And those data marts we can bring into BI tools like Power BI, and we can make the reports out of it, and the insights can be shown to the business end, through which they can make the decisions simple. Okay, so this is the we can say high-end architecture, high-level architecture of the business intelligence. And about the data warehouse and the data mart, the basic thing about this is that the data warehouse, it will be consisting of the things like the metadata. And when I say metadata, it means the information about the data that is there in the data warehouse. And it might be having some of the summarized data, and it might be having the data in raw form in the sense it might be daily level grain data, it might be weekly level grain data, all those things. And from this, we make the data marts. Like if, let's say, we are dealing with some of the dashboard in the sales aspect, so we extract only the data which is specific to sales from this data warehouse, and that will be called sales data mart. So this is the difference between the data warehouse and the data mart. Anyone has any doubt with respect to this?
Hi, Pawan.
Yes, hi.
When we get data from Excel or any of the source, there would be like missing values, and we have to eradicate that. That would be done in ETL part or what?
That will be done in ETL, yes.
Okay, that is my doubt. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else apart from that? And yes, one thing is very important for the people who are trying to change.
I have a question.
Yes.
So from that,
your voice is breaking. Is it only breaking for me or for others as well?
hello.
Yeah.
Voice is...
Yeah. Tell me, please. Now your voice is not audible.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to know that from that warehouse.
No, again, your voice is breaking. Sorry to say that, but it's not at all clear. Maybe your internet connection is having a problem. Okay, if you have a particular doubt, you can also enter that in the chat box. Okay. Fine.
Hello, Pawan.
Yes, tell me, please.
In this, slide, you have mentioned that, we'll get Excel, flat, and other kind of data, and the ETL through, we'll send data house, and then BI tools will be prepare a chart, and then analyzing the data, right?
Yes.
So as per Power BI, what kind of work they will do? They have to do all the things, getting the raw data, they have to transfer that to other data house. Then they have to prepare the chat and everything they have to do, or only the other.
Okay, let me answer that.
Yeah.
If let's say your role is of a data analyst with expertise in Power BI. Then the minimum expectation from your end would be that you can write some of the SQL queries to analyze the data. And also you have a perfect knowledge of Power BI so that you can validate the data from SQL into the Power BI. Okay. And if possible, in some scenarios, you're also expected to get the required data from the data warehouse. Let's say in data warehouse, there's a big data, okay? Big amount of data, I mean. But you want only the subset of that. So the subset of that can be brought into the Power BI by writing the SQL queries. So you should be having the knowledge of SQL queries and combined with the good knowledge of Power BI, then you will be good to go. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
And also for the people who are trying to change their domain, you have to understand some of the things like what is daily grain level data, what is the weekly grain level data, and what is the monthly grain level data. Okay. So you have to understand that. For example, there is a let's say Excel chart which has all the days, in the sense each day it has some of the sales transaction. Okay, so that will be called as a daily grain level data. And let's say if the sales happens only on the weekend, or it is summarized based on the weekend, then that is called as weekly grain data. Or let's say if the sales happens only on the month end basis, so that is called as month end level grain. So these type of terms you should understand if you are planning to get into business intelligence. Am I clear with this?
Yes, Pawan.
Yes, Pawan.
Yes, to answer this particular question, do we need to use ETL when we are creating data mart? See, so as I told you, to create a specific data mart for your requirement from this data warehouse, you should be at least be knowing the writing of SQL queries. I hope that is clear. Okay.
So particularly a SQL view also considered as a data mart?
Particular SQL view can also be considered as a data mart. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, about this, it is done. Okay. So basically, as I said earlier, raw data is hard to read and draw conclusions from, and hence we use the BI tools to convert the raw data into the business data, which is visually more understandable. And the sample BI tools that are used currently in the industries, which we can say are extensively used, are Power BI, Tableau, ClickView, or it's also called as ClickSense, that is Alteryx, MSBI, SAP BI. Okay, and there is a thing called as the Spotfire, and there are various tools, but mainly they are using these two tools. These are very much in demand, as what I can say, as far as market trend goes on. Okay, and especially Power BI has even more scope compared to Tableau, because it has great integration capabilities with various data sources. And also it has integration with Microsoft's other components like Teams, Outlook, and there's also the cloud service, which is Microsoft Power BI service, and also the integration with Microsoft 365 is possible. So all these things comes in one package as a license. So in industries, they consider Power BI more feasible for them. Okay, so that's why it is extensively used. Okay, so yeah, Power BI recently in last 4 to 5 years, it has developed more scope compared to other softwares. And Power BI, it is not a single app, but it actually is a stack of components. Now, when we say stack of components, it has these components. The first one, or the main thing that we use or extensively use in this course or in any BI developing activities where Power BI is involved, is the Power BI desktop. And Power BI desktop, as the name suggests, is the desktop app. Okay, it is a desktop app. And then we have Power BI service. So it's a cloud-based application. Whatever work you do in Power BI Desktop, that can be shared with your client or business end through this particular thing, which is Power BI service. And this is a cloud-based. And also there's a Power BI mobile app, but the Power BI mobile app is least used. Okay, least used in the sense this is only used to review the content that has already been created by some Power BI developer. Okay, and also we have Power BI servers, which can be on-premise or the local servers. And yes, we have one more component. This is called as Power BI report builder. This is particularly used to build thing called as paginated reports. Now, paginated reports can also be built by some other softwares like SSRS, but this Power BI report builder is very similar to SSRS. In fact, the functionality is nearly same. Okay, so it is used to build the paginated report. Okay, so that's about the different components of Power BI. And in interviews, they might ask you about this thing. What are the different components of Power BI? Okay, so this is one of the important questions as far as Power BI interview is concerned. Okay, then we'll go a bit deep into the Power BI components, or which are main components, as we can see. See, the Power BI desktop, which we have here, various things can be done into that. Basically, we can use it as a ETL tool as well. Although in terms of ETL, it has limited capabilities compared to the tools like Azure or Informatica. But nonetheless, Power BI can also be used to do ETL. Here we can model our data. Here we can manipulate our data according to our need or according to the report need. And then we can visualize and analyze the data. So don't just go by these simple words here. The amount of things that Power BI desktop can do, it's enormous. Okay, there are various things that can be achieved through a Power BI desktop application. It achieves so much of customization. Okay, then we have Power BI service, which is as I said, cloud-based application. And here, this is importantly used for publishing the work which you create in Power BI Desktop and share and collaborate it with the business end, and also share and collaborate with the people or your colleagues who are also Power BI developers. So all of you do your work and you share your work or collaborate it in a particular workspace that we have in Power BI service. And as far as Power BI mobile application is concerned, it is mainly used for reviewing the content, as I already told you. Okay. Now, any doubts with respect to these things which I covered right now?
Can you please explain what is paginated reports?
The paginated report, it is different compared to the normal reports that we have. And how it is different is, in normal reports, we have more of these kind of things, which we call them as visualizations or tiles. And they aesthetically or visually make the data more understandable. Whereas the paginated reports, they kind of are like this. They are like tables. Okay, and they fit into one particular page. That's why they are called as paginated reports. Hope that thing is clear.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes. So, yeah, this also is one of the important things that they ask you in Power BI interview. What are the building blocks of Power BI? Now, generally they don't ask it, but sometimes I have faced certain interviews where they specifically ask me this question. So what are the building blocks of Power BI? Basically, these are the things which Power BI basically works on. So that are data sets, visualizations, tiles, reports, and dashboards. Now, when we say data sets are basically the components which have the data within it. Okay, and it also has the data model, and in some cases it also has the calculated columns and measures. Okay, so all together we call it as data set. Now, visualization in the sense, as we saw here, these things we call it as visualizations or visuals, and the tiles in the sense, one particular visual comes in one particular tile. For example, here the YTD sales has one tile for it. Top 5 product YTD sales has one tile for it. So these individual components or individual visual components, we call them as, or we address them as tiles in business intelligence. Okay, so those are about the tiles. And reports in the sense, one whole page of visualization in Power BI, we call it as a report. Okay, we call it as a report. And dashboard, although they use reports and dashboards named synonymously, but as far as Power BI is concerned, there is one primary difference between reports and dashboard. So let me show you this in the Power BI service itself. For example, if I go to one of so this, what you are seeing here is a Power BI service. This is a web-based platform, cloud-based platform where you can store your work. Okay, within workspaces, you can see the workspaces here, and within the workspaces, we have reports, data sets, and we can create dashboards as well. Okay, now let me show you one of the report, how it looks like. Okay, so if you see, this report has basically 2 pages. One is sales report and another is sales forecast. Okay, all together we call it as the sales report basically, or whatever name you give it to. Okay, so this we say this is one particular visual or one particular tile. For example, order quantity, profit, these are specific tiles. Okay, and even though I have named it as a dashboard in this, actually in Power BI service or in Power BI as a whole, there is a different meaning to dashboard and a report. Report is what you're seeing here, and dashboard is what you make out of it. For example, let me create one simple dashboard right here and right now. Here you can see on top of every visual, there is an option to pin the visual. Okay, if I go and pin the visual, it asks me to create a new dashboard or use some existing dashboard to pin that. Okay, so let me create a new dashboard and name it some like sales itself, and I'll pin it in this. Okay, and I'll go to some other report and let me pin this one, this particular visual in the existing dashboard. Okay, now when I go to that dashboard in this dashboard is a component which you create out of different reports, and it has the visuals which you only need to be shared with the business end. So this is the difference between dashboard and the report. Okay, hope this thing is clear.
Yes, Pawan.
Okay. Anyways, these things we will be dealing with in more detail when we come to this particular aspect, which is Power BI service. But right now, I was just trying to tell you the difference between the dashboard and report. But also you have to be aware of the fact that the terms reports and dashboards are used synonymously as far as business intelligence is concerned. I hope the people who are working in this field are aware of this thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
So,
Pawan, can you come again once that reports and dashboard pinning?
Okay. Okay, let me show you that once again. If I go to my workspace, this workspace, it has this report. You're seeing this icon here?
Yes.
That is a report icon. This icon is specific to data set. Okay. And if I open this particular report, let us say I want one more view in which I can choose the visuals from these reports and store it as a specific view to be shared with business end. Okay. For example,
instead of sharing all these things, so only one component we can share, right?
Yes. instead of sharing all these things, you can share only the things that you want with the business end, and that is stored as a dashboard. Let me show you that. See, the dashboard is also created here, right? Can you see this? If I open that, you'll be having the visuals which I have pinned from the various reports. Okay. But anyways, right now, you don't worry about this. We'll be dealing with this whole thing in much more detail when we come to Power BI service part. Okay. Right now, you just make sure that you have an understanding of the basic difference between these two. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. These are the building blocks as far as the Power BI is concerned. Okay. Now, yeah. Now, let's talk about the GUI of Power BI Desktop. Okay, let's talk about the GUI of Power BI Desktop. Now, for that, I have already opened the Power BI Desktop application. Now, first of all, let me ask this question to you all. Have you all already installed the Power BI Desktop in your systems?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, Pawan.
Not installed? Okay. In that case, yeah, all you need to do is you can install it via two ways. One is you can go to Microsoft Store. Okay. Here you can go and install the Power BI Desktop. You can search from the store, and installation is a very straightforward process. There is, that you just need to go on clicking the next button. It's as simple as that. Okay. You can search here in apps. Okay. And where is that search bar? It might be behind this. Let me show. Okay. So here, I hope you know there'll be a search bar in this. Okay. In search bar, you can search the particular app, and you can type there Microsoft.
Top we have search button top.
Come again, please.
It said above.
Above top.
So above the, it's like first.
Above is there the search button.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So basically, what I mean to say is you have to install it from here. You can install it from here. Okay. Or else what you can do is you can just Google. Yeah, it's here. Now it's available for me because here you can type. Okay. Okay. You can search like this. And yes, can you see this Power BI desktop application? You can install this. Okay.
Okay, Pawan.
Yeah. So this is one of the way to install it. And there is also another way where you can just simply type in Google Microsoft Power BI download and install. Okay. That will also help you. Okay. Hope that thing is clear. And installation is very straightforward process. Okay. And one more thing is that now you can see this this thing, right? PPU trial 45 days left. Okay. In order to learn Power BI service, in order to learn most of the functionalities of the Power BI service, you will be needing premium per user license. Okay. And to activate premium per user license, you will be needing a work email, but you cannot use your personal email IDs. And there is a workaround to have a work email free of cost. I'll be sharing one of the videos for you so that you can create a work email, and within Power BI, within this, you can have a premium per user license, which will be free for trial for you for 60 days. Right now, you can see on my portal, only 45 days are left. Okay. But don't worry about that. I'll be sharing you a video where you can create this thing for yourself. Some of you might have already done this, right? Or not?
No.
I just installed the Power BI app, but I don't done this.
Okay, no worries about that. I'll be sharing that as well. But right now, to start with this, it's okay if you just have Power BI Desktop with you. Okay, no issues with that. So as far as Power BI Desktop GUI is concerned, it basically has 3 views. Okay, and those views are on the left pane, as you can see, these icons. So right now we are in the report view. Report view in the sense, this is the view where there will be visuals. Okay, this will be the report view, and there will be a data view, which shows you the data if you have the data. And there is a data model view, which shows you the data model if you have the data model. For more understanding, let me share one of the, or let me open one of the reports which we have. For example, if we go to sales dashboard, it sometimes takes a bit of time to open, but in my case, it's taking more time to open since I have also got some of the other softwares open like MySQL, and one more Power BI Desktop is already there. Okay. So anyways, let me check if it has any data within this. Yes. Now, see here, this view that we are in right now, this is called as report view. Basically, you can see the report here. Report means the visuals, okay, which you want to present it to the business center. So this view, we call it as a report view. And if we go here, this is the data view where you can see different tables or different data that you have in your model. And there is also one more view, which is called as model view, wherein you can actually see how the model is developed. Developed in the sense, what is the cardinality of the model? What tables are connected in what manner, that you can see. Okay, you can see the cardinalities which are established. Okay, so this is what we call model view. I hope this thing is clear with you all. These are the basic 3 views of Power BI. Is it clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
On right hand side, you can see the other views which are with respect to what we have in this view. Like if we have, if you want to apply any filters, you can apply it from here. The details about the filters I'll be explaining in the later part, but you should know that there is a filters and there is this data or the columns, the list of columns, the list of calculated columns, or the list of measures that you have created in this. Okay, so that are also visible. Okay, so this is about the basic view of Power BI, or let us call the 3 views of Power BI. Data view, in which you see the tables. Report view, in which you see the reports. And model view, where you can see the model. Okay, 3 views of Power BI Desktop. Then, so one of the important things in Power BI is the Power Query Editor, where you can do the ETL stuff that they do in other tools which are specific to ETL. Okay, let me show you that. In Power BI Desktop, in Home panel, okay, if you go to transform data, okay, can you see this transform data? There are various other things, but don't you worry about that right now. You only make sure this is visible. Okay, if you click on transform data, what happens is we'll be taken to a different field altogether. Okay. Now this window is separate. I mean, it is a separate window than a Power BI desktop visual that we have here. So once you click on that, there'll be two windows that will be available. Okay. Now in here, we call this as Power Query Editor. Okay. And in this particular window, we can do the things that are specific to ETL process, like transforming the existing data, okay, or maybe adding the new columns within the data, okay, and cleaning the data. And once we are done with all these things, we need to go to close and apply to save our work in this. But this is the basic view of the Power Query Editor, or basically the ETL tool of Power BI. Okay, and let me try to briefly explain the GUI component of this. So here there is a home button. Let me try to get one of the yeah. If I try to get this, I think it needs some other credentials. This is my existing credentials. It's not take or not. Okay. Let me try once more. Maybe my SQL server is not running. Let me check with that. Okay, anyways, I'll try to show in another window. Okay. So here, if we go to transform data, we'll be having various options to do and there is one. Yes, to answer this, I'll be giving you the data sets for practice. Sure. Okay. Then here, as I said, there'll be various tools which are specific to the ETL, like there'll be a transform tab. Here you can see that these are not activated since we don't have the data, but here you can do the things like replacing values, detecting the data types, pivoting the columns, merging the columns, splitting the columns, and doing some of the mathematical or statistical functions, though we don't do it specifically here. And also doing the transpose things, reversing the rows, and making first rows as headers, or maybe using group by to summarize the data. Now, right now, you just make sure that, I mean, you don't worry much about this. I'm just trying to give you the layout view of this. All these things we'll be doing in detail in upcoming classes. Okay, but right now I'm trying to just give you a basic layout of this, what all can be done in this. And there is this add column button where you can add the new columns according to your need. Let's say if you want any index column to make a, let's say, surrogate key or a specific ID, you can introduce that. You can develop an conditional column. You can have a duplicate column. You can create column by examples. Okay. You can merge the columns, all these things. And also in home tab, we can create and manage the measures, parameters, sorry. And we can parameterize our data according to that. And here also we have these options to merge the data, append the data, combining the files, replacing the values. Okay. So this particular window is specific to Power Query Editor. Okay. It is, we can say it is one of the component of Power BI Desktop, which is Power Query Editor, and it is one of the very important thing in Power BI. Okay. Hope this thing is clear. As far as the hands-on exercise or activities, don't you worry about that right now. We'll be dealing in detail how to use the Power Query editor. Right now, you just know about this particular tool. That's it. Okay. Any doubt with respect to this or the things that have been covered till now?
No, sir.
Okay.
I have one question.
Sure.
Sure. Yes, you said that we can't use our personal email ID while using Power
Yes.
BI. So,
Yes.
so what type of ID we need? Official ID, that means ID on Outlook.
You have to use a work email. Okay. But although it is not preferable to use your, the work email from where you're working right now, but there is a workaround on this wherein we can generate a temporary work email. Okay. That I'll be sharing you how to do it. Okay.
Okay, sure, thanks.
And yeah, so in Power Query Editor, we will be having the left pane, which will be, let me show you this. If I go to transform data again, that is the Power Query Editor. Here, can you see the left pane in this? These are nothing but the various tables that we have in our data. Okay, queries in the sense they are the tables. Okay, in Power BI, the queries we refer to as tables only. So in left pane we have the queries, and yes, in the right pane we have the transformation steps. Transformation steps in the sense as and when we go on transforming our data, those steps will be introduced here. Steps in the sense, if you have renamed a particular column, that will be introduced here. If you have removed certain columns, that step will be introduced here. If you have removed certain rows, that step will be introduced here. Okay. Or let's say if you have added a particular column, that also will be introduced here. So these steps, applied steps, will go on appearing here. And that is basically the meaning of this. For any particular view, there will be applied steps which will be visible on this right pane. Okay, so that's about the thing. And also I told you about the home tab, the transform tab, and the add column tab, and also there is a view tab in this. Okay, where you can view some of the things about the data which you have in this, like column profile, column quality, column distribution. We'll be talking about this in very detail. Don't you worry about that right now. Okay. So that's about the basic UI of the Power Query Editor. Okay. Now let's talk about the workflow which is specific to Power BI. We discussed the workflow or the high-level architecture of business intelligence, but right now we'll be discussing the workflow which is specific to Power BI. Okay. So first, what we need to do, first we have to connect to different data sources from the Get Data option in Power BI. Can you see this? There is in Power BI Home tab, there is the option to get data. Okay. And if you click on Get Data, you'll be greeted with these various sources. Okay. So this is about the get data, or how we get the data into the Power BI. Okay. And then we have to transform that data. And as I said, transforming of the data or doing the ETL, it basically is done through Power Query Editor or transform tab. Okay. Then we do the modeling in the data, that is modeling in Power BI, and that will be done in this particular view, that is data model view. Okay. And this is called as modeling. And also we can develop new calculated columns or measures as and when required with respect to the data that we have. That also is a part of modeling. Okay. And then, yeah, as I said, yes, it is the calculated columns and measures we create. And sometimes this whole together, modeling the data and doing this, we both simultaneously can call it as the modeling, okay, as well. And then ultimately we go on to create the reports and visualizations that will make the business simpler. And ultimately we publish our work and share it with the business end in Power BI service. So this happens in Power BI service. Okay. Any doubt with respect to the workflow of the activities that are done in Power BI?
Pawan, what are the challenges come to this workflow?
The challenges in the workflow lies in various steps. For example, sometimes transforming the data according to your need in Power BI will be a big challenge. Okay, or getting the data or getting a cleaned version of data, cleaned in the sense which will be consistent, which will be devoid of any nulls or undesirable values. Okay, so that is one of the bigger challenges. And also, nowadays, the main challenge lies in modeling the data according to your need. What happens is that sometimes you create certain model initially and you present your model to business end, and after developing it to certain extent, the business end comes with a new requirement. But then you find that the model which you have already used will not be able to accomplish that particular requirement. So you have to go on to change the model again. So that is one of the challenge that they usually face in the industries, the change with respect to developing the model. Okay. And also challenge lies in one of the doubts that was asked, that is optimizing the data. Optimizing in the sense making your data model faster or data visuals faster whenever there are high number of records, like if it is in if let's say the number of records are in terms of 70 to 80 millions, so then it kind of becomes challenging to make your report faster. Okay, so that is a challenge. And as far as creating reports and visualizations, this will be challenging in some scenarios wherein, let's say, if you are dealing with a migration project in the sense, as we are aware, various tools are used to develop the BI reports. Okay, let's say if your company previously was using ClickView or ClickSense, they want to migrate those particular reports from ClickView or ClickSense to Power BI, or let's say from Tableau to Power BI. Then what happens is that this Tableau, it works in a bit of different manner, and it has some more capabilities compared to Power BI with respect to some particular things. And achieving those things exactly in a same manner in Power BI, that sometimes becomes a bit difficult. Okay, so these are, we can say, the challenges that we actually face in the industries while making the BI reports. Hope this thing is clear.
Yeah, clear.
Okay, then we'll move on.
Suppose, Pawan, I have one more.
Yes.
If you connect to RDBMS data, like they have taken the source data from the source and they have done the some ETL part and they have loaded the data in RDBS Oracle database, suppose. So if we connect the RDBMS data to Power BI, you can skip this transform data, those things, or we have to do even after connecting the RDBMS.
Yes, let me answer that. By RDBMS, you mean the things like SQL or MySQL, right? Or Oracle database, isn't it?
Right.
So the thing is, there will be data engineers in your project. Okay. And if your project is a kind of a bigger project, their main aim will be to create the data for you. And in that regard, they will be responsible for doing this particular part. Which part? Let me show you. This particular part. Can you see this part? I mean, this section. Okay. This section they will be responsible for. And when they do it, they make sure that they clean the data and they bring about the consistency and uniformity in the data. Okay. In that particular thing, all you need to do is getting your view from the data warehouse. It might be Azure Synapse Lake or something like that. And usually when you bring the data from something like Azure Synapse, generally the data that you have in your Power BI then will be a uniform data. In that particular scenario, you need not use Power Query Editor at all. Or let me say, you need not transform the data in Power BI at all. Okay.
Okay. Modeling we have to do, right?
Modeling, yes, definitely we have to do because we need to connect the tables. Yeah.
Right. As per our business requirements, we have to do model the data.
Yes, modeling we have to do in Power BI. Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, as I said, Power BI is one of the very sought out BI tool, And one of the prime reasons for that is it can connect to more than 150 data sources. Presently, it might be a figure which is more than this. It might be somewhere around 200 plus or even 300. Okay, so different data sources you can connect with Power BI, and you can do it with a particular ease. And that is one of the reason Power BI is most widely used tool. Okay, for example, if you use certain other tools, there won't be direct connection available. And to avail that connection, sometimes you have to use specific connectors. So that makes your work a bit tedious compared to Power BI. Hope you're getting the point. So this is one of the, we can say, the advantage of using the Power BI instead of the other tools. And let me try connecting with some of the data sources in Power BI, and let me show you how it's actually done. For that, let me just close this, and let's start getting our hands dirty as far as Power BI is concerned. That is doing the stuff. Okay. So I have opened a Power BI. Okay. And I mean Power BI desktop. And here, first of all, let me show you how to save your file, which is a very basic thing. You can go to file and you can either select save or save as, and you can give a name for this. Let me give it a name, PBI train. And then I can select it. I mean, I can save it anywhere I want. Okay. I can basically mention the target destination. Okay. So I'll just simply save it to my desktop in this particular scenario. So this is how you save your file. Okay. Now you can see the name has appeared in this. Okay. Now, what I'll try to do is I'll try to get the data, and I'll try to show you how you get the data from different sources into the Power BI. Okay. So for that, we need to go on, click here, get data. Okay. And first, let me show you how to get some of the flat files, or we can also call them as CSV, and also Excel files. And then will move on to just how to get the data from a particular database. So if I click on this, you can see some of the common data sources here. And if the source which you are looking into is not listed in this, you can click on more. Okay. And if you click on more, these are the various data sources that you can connect to. Okay. Can you see this? These are the data sources. And even if you think the sources, I mean, it's hard to find here, you can also use this search button. Okay. For example, if you're searching for something like SQL Server, you can type it. See, it appears in here. Okay. So that's how you can connect. But as far as my requirement, I'm trying to create, I mean, I'm trying to get in one particular text or CSV file. CSV in the sense, comma separated value files, where the delimiter will be comma. Okay. So let me try to get one CSV file. Let me try to connect this. So I'll go to training, different data sources. And you can see there is a order CSV file, which I have stored in this. I'll try to open this, and it will try to create a connection first to get in this. Okay. Now you can see you will be shown a preview of this. Now, when I say preview of this, you can see this is based on the first 200 rows, or you can make it entire data set as well. Okay. And you can see what type of file is this. It is basically the file wherein the delimiter which is used is comma. Okay. And here, once you get into this, I mean, once your file is listed in this, you can either go for two options. One is loading the file or transforming the file, or basically loading the data or transforming the data. If you are sure that the CSV file, or basically the data which you are looking into, is ready to use and does not need any transformation, then you can directly load it. Else, you can go for transform the data. And let's say I load it by mistake instead of going to transform data, and I want to transform that anyways. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to load it now. Okay. Now you can see it has certain errors. Okay. So it means that it is not a ready to use file. Okay. And you need to transform it, but there you did not click on transform. So you can do it anyways. You can click on close in this and you can go to transform tab again. And once you go to transform tab, Power Query Editor will open. And here for this particular file, you can go on applying the transformation steps, or basically you can go on changing the data or the transforming the data as per your particular requirement. Okay, so this is how we can get a CSV file. Okay, and let me close it for now. Let me try to get one Excel file. Now to get Excel workbook, you can either use this or you can directly click on this particular icon as well. That also will get you an Excel workbook. Okay. So here in the same folder, I have also stored one XLS file, which is the sample superstore. I'll try to open this. Now that Excel file will be open and it will ask me to choose the sheets which I need from that particular Excel workbook. Now let's say if I want all the 3 sheets, I need to click on this like this. And once I load or transform, this will be basically loaded, or I'll be either taken to the transform tab. Okay. Now, I hope this thing is clear how to bring the data from Excel or flat files. Any doubts with respect to this?
It's clear.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'll be showing you how to bring the data if, let's say, you are using a specific database on your end. Okay. For example, let me start with SQL Server. So it is SSMS on my side. And if I try to open SSMS, again, it's taking a bit of time for loading because I have many things open right here. Okay. So here, you have to remember, I mean, you should know the server name and the database that you are looking into. For now, I'll just connect with this. Okay. And the important thing is your SQL server should be in running condition. Okay. And you see that in my SQL server, I have these databases. Okay. And let's say if I want to get this database, this particular, let's say AdventureWorks 2019 into Power BI from SQL server, then what I need to do is I need to go to get data in Power BI again. Okay. And here I need to select SQL server. You can either click from here or you can go to more, and there also you have this option. You can see it is listed here and also it is listed specific to this. Okay. SQL server database. And I'll try to connect to this. And once you click on that, you'll be asked to enter the server name. And let me enter the server name. I mean, this server name will be specific to my computer. And this is the server name basically, which I'm copying and I'm trying to paste it here. And I'll do this. And if I want a particular database, I can paste that as well. For let's say I want to use AdventureWorks 2019, then I can simply copy this, or I can individually write it here, Control V. And if I press an OK, it'll initially ask my credentials. And yeah, it says encryption is not possible, but it's okay. Now, if you see, I'll be taken to that particular AdventureWorks 2019 whole database. And this database consists of many tables as you are seeing right now. Some of them might be tables, some of them might be particular views, which you have created for yourself. Okay, so you can click on those particular tables and get those particular data into the Power BI. Okay, I'm just clicking on, I'm just selecting some tables and I'm clicking on load so that those tables are available here as well. It requires some time for it to be loaded, but this is how you can do it. Is this thing clear? How to bring the data from SQL Server to Power BI now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
One question here,
Sure.
like while exporting this, like importing this from SQL, so that username, does that have like read write permission on that table, or what do we want?
Your voice is kind of breaking. Can you be more clear, please? I'm not able to understand it perfectly.
So while importing this data from SQL,
Yeah.
the user should have read write access, or like only
Yes.
read only will be
User should have the access to that particular database. Yes.
only read access or read write access?
See, the read write in the sense, if you want to write your if you want to write particular queries on that particular database, then you need to have read write access. But if you want to bring up just bring a particular view, then even read access is also okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll show you that thing also where you can write a particular query in Power BI Desktop itself to bring that in here. Okay, I'll show you that option as well. But main thing is
normally, I mean, the database or some table, I mean, users will have read-only access. So in that case, can we pull data in Power BI from that table?
yes, we can pull the data as we want, but the thing is we cannot usually, if you're a Power BI developer, what the basic requirement of from your end would be to get the required view or required table into the Power BI, but you will certainly not be having the access that the data engineers will be having. The data engineers will be having the access to truncate and drop, accomplishing those things as well. But you will not be provided with those access. Okay. Hope that thing is clear.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So this is how we connect to, let's say, the SQL Server. And let me try to make one more connection with maybe the MySQL. MySQL database, and I'll try to connect it to this. And here, you have to make sure that your MySQL is also in the running status. Okay, if it's not in the running status, then you'll not be given access to that particular data. As simple as that. Okay, and here again you need to enter the server name. So if you go to MySQL Workbench, this is particular thing you need to enter. This thing which you're seeing here, right? 127.0.0. So let me enter that. 127.7.0.0.1 3306. And if you want to bring a particular database, that also you can do. Let's say, for example, bring the sales database from this. If you click on this, then you'll
database SID or
coming in, please.
so have you feeded like a database SID or database name itself?
The database name itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So from the that particular database, we can get these tables that we need. Okay. From by this way, if I click on this, or if let's say you want to write a particular query, okay, so you can even do that while getting the data. Let me show you that for the MySQL itself. Let's say if I'm trying to get the MySQL database, and within that, I just want a particular thing. So what was that? 127.0.0, 127.0.0.13306. And here, let me say sales. And if you go to the advanced options, you can write a particular SQL query here as well. So for example, let me write a particular query, like if I'm aware of that database, so I can write, select, let's say, star from, there is this table called customers. And let me include a specific filter like where customer underscore type is equal to e-commerce. If I write a particular query like this, you can include even complex queries as well, like joins and those things. Okay. So if I try to do this, what I will get is that particular table or a particular view that I have written query for. Hope this thing is clear.
Yes, Pawan.
This thing you can do with even SQL Server as well. Okay. And you can get a particular required view that you want in this. Okay. And then again, you can go on with loading this or transforming this. Okay. And then also in, there's one more database that I'd like to show you, that which is called as Microsoft Access database. And I'd like to connect to this. And there is one sample database which I have stored in my computer, which is of Microsoft Access. And that also you can bring it like this. Again, you'll be greeted with that database. You can just select the tables that you want, or even you can do the stuff that we did earlier. Okay. So loading the data in this particular manner. And this is again one of the other data sources. And sometimes you can even bring the data from web, provided that the web has, you have the access to that particular components in that particular website. For instance, I have one particular website in this, which is this. So if I try to get that data into this, I just need to select this web. Yes, there is some doubt. Could you please show the get data from pgadmin? What is this? Is it a database, pgadmin? This is asked by Kumkum Sharia. Postgre. Okay. Right now, I don't have Postgre database with me, but that also will be very similar. Okay, because I think Postgre is also like SQL itself, right? It also is an RDBMS, which basically works on the SQL queries only. For that also, it will be a very similar thing. You need to enter the server name and a particular database. Okay. So I can enter the web address in this, and if that is accessible, then the tables which are present in that particular website also will be accessible to you, like this. It will take some time, okay. But yeah, you see, there are tables within that website which are accessible, and you can get those as well if you require. Okay. So I'm just trying to show you the different ways in which you can bring the data from different sources. Okay. So hope this thing is clear for everyone. getting the data from different sources?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and this is also very important as far as the interviews are concerned. So usually the first question they'll be asking you in a Power BI interview is, what are all the different data sources that you have worked on? So you can certainly say with confidence that you have worked on SQL Server. You have worked on, let's say, for example, MySQL. You have worked with Excel sheets. You have worked with CSV files as and when required. And you have used the SharePoint folder. You can also use SharePoint folders. Okay. I want you to do this by yourself. Just go through net and just figure out how you can get SharePoint folders within, the data which is there in the SharePoint folder into the Power BI. Okay. It is also, it's also a simple thing, not much difficult. All you need to do is you need to get the URL of the particular SharePoint and SharePoint folder, and those files within that particular folder will be accessible in Power BI. Hope this thing is clear, people. Any doubts with respect to what has been covered today?
Pawan, I have one doubt. If you have in one database, you have multiple schemas. We can take different schemas out from different tables at a time. We can do
We can
join
take.
stuff.
We can take. Sure.
Oh.
Okay. For example, I'm working in a recent project which we, and there I'm bringing the data with respect to, let's say there is a thing which gives me about, which gives me information about the timeline, and there is another database which gives me information about the financial aspect. So I'm bringing it all together in one PBIX or one Power BI Desktop. Okay, so that thing can be done. Yeah. Any other doubts, people? So fine, then from next class we will talk about this different storage modes in Power BI and how they are different from each other, and what is the meaning of each of the storage mode and when they are particularly used. Okay, and what are the limitations of particular storage modes, and then we'll go on to have a deeper look into Power Query Editor. Okay. Fine, then let me.
University free parking illa, but pay பண்ணி first floor.
Okay.
Pawan will get the recording for every classes.
Yes, you will be.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
and as far as the work for yourself, or let's say the assignment for this particular class is concerned, I would like you people to know how to get the SharePoint folders within Power BI. Okay. But yes, if anybody asks you in the interview, what are the different sources that you have worked on? So you know how to get those particular data sets from those particular sources now. Okay. You can definitely tell the things which I showed you today. Okay. Hope that is clear.
Yes, Pawan.
Okay, fine. Then I'll, first of all, I'll stop the recording.